The second selection that I am providing for you comes from a little bit later in Act One. It is one of the first times that we see Linda's character juxtaposed with the unnamed woman character. This is the unnamed woman that Willie has an affair with. We find out some of the details of that affair in Act Two. As you read through these selections, one of the things I want you to notice are the ways in which Willie is complaining about himself, is exhibiting some insecurities, and the way in which Linda is performing some emotional labor, some psychological labor in order to build him up. At the same time, we can also see some of the physical actions that Linda is taking to sustain the household. For example, as she is talking with him and as she is trying to build him up, she's also mending a pair of stockings. Right? We know that this is a family that struggles with income insecurity, that cannot make their bills, that are really struggling to maintain the household. And we see in this act that Linda is playing her part to provide what we might describe as the social reproductive labor to sustain the household. At the same time as Linda makes attempts to build Willie up, he seems to reject those attempts, or those attempts seem to have less of an effect on him compared to the flashback where we see Willie with the woman whom he had an affair with. And we can really kind of think about the way in which the relationship between Willie and the woman has a much kind of lighter effect to it. It's fun, it's playful. There's even a moment where Willie slaps the woman on the bottom, and there's this kind of cheerful banter that goes on between them. And we can juxtapose that with Willie's relationship to his wife, which seems very matter of fact, very much about carrying out the domestic responsibilities of the home, sustaining each other economically as well. Interestingly, as Willie in his mind is having this flashback and thinking about the affair he had with the woman, he's actually presently in conversation with his wife. And at the very end of the conversation, he kind of snaps at Linda and asks her to put away the stockings that she has been mending. He's actually offended by this idea that she is performing this kind of labor that to him it suggests that he is continually a failure, right? It's highlighting his understanding of himself as a failure. So again, this week I'm asking you to think about what the text is saying about gender. You might compare the characters, Linda and the woman, and think about what these two relationships, uh, in contrast with one another, tell us about gender relations more generally, or about marriage relations more generally. These are different questions that you might ask if you were doing a feminist reading of the